I flew into London yesterday because Nothing said that they'd be announcing some pretty impressive products at an event today, which they did. So I got hands-on with the new flagship Phone 3, as well as their first over-ear headphones, the Headphone 1. And here's my impressions. Let's just start with the new phone. It's been 2 years since their last flagship, but they're calling the Phone 3 their first true flagship phone. So that should mean flagship build, cameras, display, battery, software, chipset, and of course a flagship price. Well, I'm actually pretty happy with the price. It starts at $799 for the base 12/256 gig variant, and the top end 16/512 model will set you back $899. That's only $100 more than what the Phone 2 cost, and that launched 2 years ago. And this time, the top-end model has more RAM. So I feel like this is a reasonable price, especially when you consider all the upgrades. The Phone 3 comes in black and white, and I'm sure you've noticed that the design is different. It still has that Nothing look about it with the whole transparent theme, but the camera array is all over the show, and the glyph interface has now evolved into a glyph matrix. The matrix is a disc in the top corner made up of 489 individual LEDs. Its intention is to bring you necessary info without needing to dial into your phone unless you absolutely need to. It uses Nothing's signature dot matrix style to show you key notification info. You can assign custom icons to different contacts, and there's now something called Glyph Button, which lets you change up the matrix directly from the back of the phone. This includes cycling through different glyph toys like mirror for selfie positioning, spin the bottle, clock, battery indicator, and more. Oh, and we still get the signature red recording light on the back. The recording light makes sense, and I'm glad they still have it here, but like I've said with previous Nothing phones, unless you always put your phone face down flat on a table, then the glyph interface is not necessarily one of the main reasons to go out and buy a Nothing phone. There's so much more to the device. Though I can appreciate what Nothing are trying to do here. They're trying to be different. I mean, at the end of the day, phones are getting boring. So Nothing are trying to make life something just a little bit more enjoyable. That overall back design is definitely a bold choice though. And the camera sensors almost look like they've been clipped on randomly like Lego pieces. I mean, how cool would it be if the backplate was completely modular and you could actually switch out those lenses? But nope, they are firmly stuck in place in a questionable layout, which actually makes sense though. You see, the ultra-wide camera is centered, which is the perfect position for it. The narrower main camera is to the left, and then the periscope is up to the top for those further zoomed shots. The main and 3x optical periscope sensor both get OIS, and the main sensor is significantly larger at 1 and 1.3 inches and has a much wider aperture at f1.68 when compared to the Phone 2. All 4 cameras, including the selfie, are 50 megapixel sensors, and they can all shoot video at 4K 60 FPS. The Phone 1 and 2 both lacked a periscope and higher resolution selfie cameras, so there should be a pretty large improvement here. But I guess we'll have to wait and see, because I'm planning on seriously deep diving into this in my full review. We finally get proper waterproofing here too, with an IP68 certification. And that back glass is now stronger with Gorilla Glass Victus, and the display is more protected with Gorilla Glass 7i. The display has also been upgraded. It's a 10-bit 120Hz 6.67-inch AMOLED panel with a higher screen resolution that packs in 460 pixels per inch, a higher 1000 Hz touch sampling rate, and a much higher brightness, 4500 nits peak and 1600 nits of full screen outdoor brightness. Bezels are also slimmer now too, coming in at just 1.87mm all around for a premium symmetrical look. You can't make a flagship these days without trimming down those bezels. Alright, so it seems like we have a flagship build, display, camera setup, and a pretty unique design. And then there's the battery, which is actually increased up to 5150 mAh. But other flagship Androids of this year are surpassing that 6000 mAh mark. And while it does have faster wire charging at 65 watts, other Androids are pushing 120 watts. We do still have wireless charging though, which some Android flagships seem to forget about, though it's still capped at 15 watts. 65 watts is plenty fast enough though, way faster than the likes of Apple, Samsung, and Google. And same goes for battery capacity. Take a look at Apple. They don't have the largest batteries in their phones, but they seem to last longer than any other Android phone out there thanks to optimizations. And I really appreciate that about Nothing. Nothing has arguably the best hardware to software optimizations when it comes to Android smartphones. Nothing OS is literally Nothing's DNA. And to me, it's the best software experience you will get on an Android, period. You get OS 3.5 out the box, and it has the same unique nothing software look with loads of things to customize. There's now something called Essential Search, which will help you find things easier, and we still have the Essential Key, which we saw in their Phone 3a series. It's used to take notes and recordings to remember things, and there's something new called Flip to Record now, so that you can transcribe entire meetings. And another huge flagship incentive here is that Nothing are now promising 5 years of major OS updates and 7 years of security patches. Nothing OS 4.0, which will be based on Android 16, will also be available in Q3 this year, so they've said. And before you guys start spamming down the comments section, yes, the Phone 3 does indeed have eSIM support. Now, one thing that many of you have been questioning in the build-up to the Phone 3's launch is its chipset, that being the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. It might not be an 8 Elite, but I can assure you it is every bit still a flagship chipset. Think of it as a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, but with slightly lower clock speeds, no efficiency cores, and more performance cores. I recently tested out the 8S Gen 4 in a different phone, and it seriously impressed me. Its benchmark scores were on par with the 8 Gen 3, and its gaming performance was actually better, and almost the same as the 8 Elite. We'll get to actual benchmarks and gaming in my full review though. Did I hope they would have included an 8 Elite here? Yeah, sure, why not? Is it a deal breaker for me? No, not really, because there is no other Android phone with software like this. Nothing's optimizations are so good that the Nothing Phone 3 feels faster than any other Android phone running an 8 Elite chipset with unoptimized buggy software, if that makes sense. Okay, so then they announced their first over-ear headphones, the Headphone 1. And first impressions, they have nailed it, especially since it's their first try. They also come in black and white, and they'll set you back $299, which is quite a bit cheaper than the competition. The design is packed with Nothing's design language. It's got that transparent look, but there's no LEDs here. There's an LED indicator showing when it's on and when it's charging, but that's it. It would have been nice having at least one LED to indicate battery life, or a few of them to respond to the songs that you're listening to, which would be epic in my eyes. Of course, it's definitely going to affect battery life, but I just feel like it would have been nice to have had an option. I mean, if you don't want the LEDs, you would have been able to disable them. But there's just no LED design language on the Headphone 1s. And the battery life is very good anyway. I mean, you get up to 80 hours with noise cancelling disabled, or up to 35 hours with ANC on. I've actually been using the Headphone 1s for a little over a week now, and they sound great, but let's talk about battery for a sec. I traveled with them from Cape Town to London. That's a 12-hour flight. I used them throughout the flight and before and after the flight. And by the time I got to the hotel, they had only dropped by 20%, and I had ANC enabled the whole time. They're made with aluminum and plastic and have soft memory foam cups. I literally kept them on for my entire flight and never had the urge to take them off, since they are just so comfortable. The adjustable band feels premium, and they do not creak at all. Oh, and they are IP52 rated, by the way. Part of the reason I didn't take them off was because of how good the transparency mode is. I swear, sometimes I feel like I can hear more on what's going on around me than with the headphones off completely. And ANC works so well that when I was on my flights, I could fully dial into my in-flight movies. Oh, and by the way, a nice little bonus is that they can be paired up to 2 devices at the same time. They sound extremely good because of their partnership with Kef, and offer more bass than most recent headphones I've tried. I have a pair of Sony XM3s and XM4s at home, and these feel like a proper upgrade in terms of noise cancelling, transparency, sound, bass, and comfort. I called my wife when I had them on, and she was seriously impressed with the microphone quality. I mean, it does have 6 mics, so there's that. A lot of headphones use touch gestures for controls, but Nothing have gone for a more traditional button layout, with a twist, and controls have really grown on me. There's a roller for volume, a paddle for skipping through songs, and an AI button which can hop through different audio apps on your Nothing phone, or used for your AI assistant on other phones like Siri or Gemini. I just hope that the roller and paddle hold up in the long run. I've actually been using them with my iPhone, and they've been solid. The app also lets you customize everything, even when using an iPhone. You can also use them wired with a 3.5mm cable or USB-C for lossless playback. and both cables are included in the box along with a very solid carrying case. When I first opened up the box, I'm not gonna lie, I was very taken back by their rectangular design. I really wasn't sure how I felt about it. At first, I kind of wished that the middle oval design was larger and covered the whole cup instead of the metal border behind it. But I gotta say, after a while, they've really started to grow on me. Yes, the Phone 3 and Headphone 1s look different, but it's up to you if you think that's good different or bad different. Let me know in the comment section down below. You remember when Apple released their first iPhone with a notch and everybody hated them for it? But then after a while, everyone knew that you were holding an iPhone. I feel like that's what Nothing is going for here. If you buy a Nothing Phone 3 or Headphone 1 now, give it a couple months, but I guarantee you, when you start walking around after a while, people are gonna know that you're using a Nothing product. And that is exactly what the company wants. Yeah, sure, they're good conversation starters, but at the end of the day, they are seriously good products, and I cannot wait to deep dive into the Phone 3 and Headphone 1s. So be sure to stick around for my full review, which should air next week sometime. As always, this is TechNick, and I'll catch you in the next one.